rising, my loves. Today we're going to talk about shadow work. I am clearly outside today. I didn't take notes necessarily for this video besides writing down what my definition of shadow work is. And while we're here, I'm going to make some jewelry as well. We're back. I had to put, I put lion's mane, maca root, ashwagandha, and haritaki in here. Lion's mane is good for brain function, depression, anxiety, cognitive function, memory. Ashwagandha is good for cortisol levels, weight gain, as well as stress, anxiety, depression. Maca is really good for muscle repair, energy, libido. Hopefully I'm not horny tonight when I get home. And then the haritaki is good for decalcifying the pineal gland and dispelling things from your body. So it's kind of like a detox. That tastes so good. It tastes like peanut butter and vanilla. Okay, so I'm gonna read off my definition of what shadow work is. What is shadow work? Shadow work is digging deep into the psyche for the things that we hide from the world and ourselves, to uncover truths and pain and gain understanding, for healing and merging your light and dark energy as one. Final fucking lead. Good grief. Okay, so that is what shadow work is to me. We're gonna go look for the actual Google definition of it, and then we're gonna move on. All right, shadow work is the psychological practice of exploring the unconscious, repressed, or dark parts of oneself, such as rage, jealousy, or insecurity, to achieve wholeness and self-awareness. Often integrating these hidden aspects, individuals can reduce self-sabotage, improve emotional regulation, and deepen self-acceptance. So that is Google's version of shadow work. I knew it had to come off, but you ain't have to do me like that. I gotta fix 2 nails today. Hopefully I have time. But, so, we've gotten the definition, right? And I feel like a lot of people speak about shadow work, but they don't tell you what to do, how to do it, the truth behind it, like what's the true purpose, process. Because like, sometimes we'll think ourselves through a situation, but we still see it repeating in our daily life. It can't fathom and understand or comprehend how. And I think that we forget how important writing stuff down is. Because although you may have a mental understanding of what's currently happening to you and what's going on, when you write it down in law on a piece of paper that you understand, you identify the problems, and you get yourself to a point where you've understood the direction of a solution, and you write that down, that inadvertently is basically writing a contract to the universe, to God, source, whoever, your spirit team, and letting them know, I understand this lesson now. This part I've comprehended. I can put it into words for sure. It's not just stuck in my head on loop, on repeat. I have officially gained control. And when you have learned how to truly tap into oneself and gain control of the situation, the next time it comes, it won't be as intimidating and you'll know exactly what to do. And so we'll go through it in our brain, and we'll feel like we've gotten the conclusion and this, that, and the third, but we don't really sit down and write it down. That's when journal prompts come into place. You find the questions that truly challenge you and forces you to think outside of the box, outside of what is comfortable for you. You then no longer have a choice to act ignorant or naive when everything is right in front of your face. And that's why shadow work is so important. But there's also a level of accountability that is required in this work. I feel like a lot of us struggle with accountability because it forces us to be vulnerable. And vulnerability is viewed as weakness when it's really the most courageous thing that you could ever step into and be and embody your entire life. Like being bold enough to say, this shit hurts. I don't like this. This doesn't feel well within me. And expressing it and standing 10 toes behind it is one of the most bold things that you could ever do. Because in this society, they want you to just take it, ask no questions, and just do whatever the fuck they telling you to do. When it come down to it, the truth of the matter is, all of this shit is rooted in self-awareness, accountability, willingness, and vulnerability. That to me is the greatest superpower that any man, any human can have. When you're able to sit down and truly be willing enough to test yourself and your willingness to authenticity, your willingness to grow, that's the beginning of it all. When you're willing to dive in the deepest depths of yourself and through it all still remember that you are worthy. When you're able to dive into the deepest depths of yourself and be willing to lose everything, discovery of who you are, that's when you've truly stepped into the essence of your higher self, if I'm gonna be honest. Because your higher self, she or him, would never allow you to abandon yourself for the ideas, the comfortability, and the safety of society. Your higher self doesn't care about that. And because she doesn't care, she aims, and I'm only saying she because I'm talking to myself too, she aims to dive into the depths of herself to gain understanding of herself so she can truly be who she's supposed to be. And so I feel like if the goal is to become your highest self, if the goal is to become one with God and the universe, shadow work is that guide. Because all it is, when it comes down to your shadow self, all that is just the parts of yourself that society doesn't approve of. So you being, for Black women, us being upset or angry, and instead of authentically expressing that rage, we have learned how to suppress it, and now it turns into depression and anxiety. Instead of authentically expressing that rage, it becomes suicide or self-deprecating behavior, constantly drinking, constantly going out to parties without facing whatever the real pain is. Wow, there's nothing wrong with going out. I'm not saying that at all. Please go to the club and shake your ass, because that's part of how we release some of that trauma. That's why every time when you go out and you hang out with your homegirls, you go to the club, you shake your ass a little bit, you start to feel better. That's because you release that tension, that trauma that's being stored in your body. So shadow work is the sacrifice of self to become your higher self. It's learning how you are fucking up your own shit and saying, I'm the problem, it's time to fix it. Shadow work prompts aren't as simple as how did this make me feel? It goes past that. How does it make me feel? How does my body feel? Did this remind me of anything specific that happened in the past? What did this trigger? What is the root cause of this pain that I feel? Why, when I get angry, my body shakes and trembles uncontrollably? When I was 6, I got in trouble for not washing the dishes. And my whole life now, I absolutely hate washing the dishes. Where do those two correlate? Why do you now hate washing the dishes? What happened during that time when you were doing that that caused you to have a true disdain for that? And then when you get those answers, because that's the journal prompt, that's the beginning of it, you then go in and you figure out how to properly handle it, how to merge it into not what it was and how that bothered you, but now what personality trait did you take on? What behavior did you adopt? How is this behavior hindering you? How is this personality trait hiding what you truly believe in and who you truly are? And then we can go as far as saying, now how can I integrate, or how can I properly address this situation now so that it no longer has control over my body? So like for me, I'm dealing with weight issues right now, yeah? And the reason why this season and this size of my body is so hard for me to process and understand is because the last time I was this small, it was because I gave up on life. I stopped caring. I made the unconscious conscious decision that at this point, this is what it is. I was homeless, living in my car, abusing some drugs, or whatever the case may be. I had to nurse myself back to health on my own. And that in and of itself was a lot, because even through the journey of addiction, homelessness, getting out of a very abusive relationship, all of that I had to heal and get out of on my own, because I couldn't really tell nobody what was happening. I couldn't express to anybody how I felt, because the level of healing, the level of understanding that I needed, I didn't have it. It wasn't near me. And so shadow work was the only option at that point. And so I tapped into myself. I had to figure out, why would I sit in an abusive ass relationship that didn't bring me any joy, any peace, any comfortability, or safety? Why would I stay? And then I had to realize I was running away. Well, what were you running away from? I was running away from home. Because in my mind at that point, it was easier. At that point, it was easier to deal with people you don't know abusing you and hurting you compared to your own family. Right before then, I had dealt with a lot of different things, a lot of different shifts, and I felt completely abandoned in that time. Nobody listened to me. Nobody cared about my side of the story. They immediately took everyone else's side. And so when I realized that I was willing to take that type of damage, I then was able to look at my environment and make a better decision for myself. And so not only did I have to, at that point, heal those situations, the abuse, the addiction, I also was then forced to recognize the abuse that I was dealing with before then from the same people that's supposed to love you and protect you and didn't. Also, shadow work isn't one for you to get angry, find the answers to something, and leave it alone. It's the process of getting the answers, finding the solutions, and healing, forgiving, comprehending the pain and the anger and the frustration. And then as you dive deep into your own, you then start to learn and understand everybody else's. And then you get to understand, like, oh, this wasn't out. This wasn't personal. They just think that because of this happened to them, that this is gonna happen to me. You learn that it's not personal. A lot of the stuff, a lot of the times when people say something to you, it's their own projections of their pain and their anger and their hurt. And then when you learn that, then you're able to start to identify when you do the same thing to other people. So all in all, what is shadow work, right? Shadow work is diving deep into yourself, diving deep into who you are and gaining understanding, and then eventually taking control of your life, your ability to comprehend, understand, and sympathize with the world around you, and then maneuvering from there to becoming one within yourself. So all of the things that you're hiding, the things that you're fearful of, the things you feel shame for, the things you're guilty of, you learn how to forgive yourself for or accept or become aware of and then transmute. Shadow work is the foundation of becoming who you're supposed to be. Because without addressing the subconscious mind, without addressing the psyche, you'll always be a victim of just being whatever the world told you to be and not who you're supposed to be. So, I'm gonna have a few journal prompts in the description. I implore and I challenge you guys to pick 1 to 3 out of them and be 100% honest with yourself, 100% vulnerable with yourself, and answer those questions. If you're bold enough, do it in the comment section. If not, it's fine. Put it in your notebook and really sit with it. But shadow work is just kind of like therapy or a journal or having a journal prompt. But it's officially taking those things that you learn from it and then finding ways to integrate it into your life and accepting it or letting it go because it doesn't serve you anymore. I can't go too far into detail because each situation is different, but I am able to help you if you were to book with me on my site. I have like the mirror room on there where we'll have a one-on-one session and you can kind of just go through and explain to me all of the things you're dealing with, what's going on, the patterns, the cycles, the karmic lessons, and then we can get to that and start asking the right questions. And then I also have a service where we can start creating a ritual, routine, or a spell of working to then help you throughout this process. So that can consist of a journal prompt, that can consist of a spiritual bath, again, like I said, a spell or a working that you may have to do, specific scripture that you may need to read every day, things of that nature. So without further ado, I'm gonna let you guys go. And I just want to say I'm proud of you for even clicking on this video because that means that you are truly trying to take your spirituality and your healing to the next level. And I just want to be able to be there to assist you. I hope this video was informative and enough to help at least get you started on the understanding of what shadow work is, the essence of it, and why it is important. If you enjoy me and my content, please like, comment, and subscribe so you can know. Oh, and then of course push that push notification bell somewhere down there so you can know whenever I do upload another video. Hopefully I am aiming for every Thursday at 7:30 p.m. So it's prepared for you for the weekend, and you can sit down, drink a smoothie, smoke a blunt, drink some tea right along with me. I'm gonna continue to do what I'm doing out here. I hope, well, I am affirming you have a wonderful and a amazing day.